What's going on, everybody? It's Key Time coming back with another one to talk about the Boston Celtics, Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Dallas Mavericks and OKC Thunder. Both series were in Game 5 last night, and I am going to get into both of them right now. Now, with the Cleveland Cavaliers and Boston Celtics, the Boston Celtics are going back to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second time in 4 years, and they await the winner of the Indiana Pacers and or the Indiana Pacers or the New York Knicks. But what I want to say is, no matter who the Boston Celtics play, they going to the NBA Finals. You can book it, write it down. America, mark my words. The Boston Celtics are going to the NBA Finals. I know that is not news. Everybody's projecting them to make it to the NBA Finals, but I believe that they can. The next series, Eastern Conference Finals, I believe that it is going to be a sweep. I really do. I think it's going to be a sweep. So now, back to last night. I noticed that the Celtics, they came out on the attack, and they really did. You can even look at some of the players. Jason Tatum, he came out on the attack. He had 25 points. Only thing, the Celtics, they only played 9 guys last night. So the bench, it was a little short, and they usually go 2, maybe 3 deep, but the bench, it was a little bit shortened. Now with Jason Tatum, he scored 25 points. Jaylen Brown, he scored 11 points, but they didn't really need Jaylen Brown as much. But what I have to say is Al Horford, he came out and put up 22 points last night, and he had a big game. He really did. And also, Drew Holiday, mainly, he's strictly there for defense, but he had 13 points last night. And at the end of the day, we all knew that the Boston Celtics was going to win this series. I picked them in 7, but I said the series can end a little bit shorter. Now, even though this series, it should have been a sweep, but we all know that the Celtics, they have their off games here and there. But one thing about it is that the Celtics, they did not mess around last night. They came out, set the tone early, didn't even let the Cavaliers have a shot late in the game to win this game and force a game 6 back in Cleveland. So the Celtics, they got their work cut out for them. They resting up for the next few days, waiting to see who is going to win in the Indiana Pacers New York Knicks series. But as far as the Cleveland Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell, he's on the trade block. And as far as you need more dynamic scorers outside of just him, whether he stays in Cleveland or go, that remains to be seen. We will know in July if he will stay in Cleveland. But Cleveland, they have a good, decent team. But will the team stay together? And another thing, they need more from their bench going into next season. Because only thing I seen was maybe 2 or 3 legitimate scorers that can come off the bench and give you 15 to 20 every night. But as far as the Cleveland Cavaliers, I believe Donovan Mitchell, he might go somewhere else. So you are in rebuilding mode again. So you need to draft. So who's ever coming in the draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers need to get a dynamic scorer out the draft and maybe even get a dynamic scorer in free agency. Who knows? Maybe Trae Young or somebody like that. But as far as the Boston Celtics, congratulations to the Boston Celtics for making it to the Eastern Conference Finals for their 25th time in franchise history. And they await the Indiana Pacers or the New York Knicks. That's all I got for that series. Now, the next series I want to talk about is the Dallas Mavericks and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, one thing I've been saying all season, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they are one of the youngest teams in the NBA, and last night it showed because the game was tight. In the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, the OKC Thunder went cold, and I mean they went cold. It's an understatement. I'm gonna tell y'all a few stats right now. In the fourth quarter, they were 15 of 30, so 50%. But the fourth quarter, that was their lowest shooting percentage in the game. The first and second quarter, they had better shooting percentages from the floor than the fourth quarter. So now you see where they attempted 43s last night, only made 25% from the three-point line. The Dallas Mavericks made more threes last night, 14 of 35 for 40%. But one thing about it, I always go back to in the playoffs, can you rebound more than the other team? And that is what the Dallas Mavericks did. The Dallas Mavericks out-rebounded in total rebound department. The Dallas Mavericks were plus 13. Offensive rebounds, the Dallas Mavericks were plus 1. And defensive rebounds, the Dallas Mavericks was plus 12. Also, one other thing, as far as turnovers, now OKC didn't have as many turnovers in game 4 as they did last night. Dallas, they had a lot of turnovers, but were still able to win. Now, one thing about it, as far as foul trouble, OKC, they players got in a lot of foul trouble last night. But one thing I got to say is the series isn't over. It's going back to Dallas for game 6. And this is the type of adversity I was talking about with OKC. They are a young team. There are going to be some adverse moments. This is an adverse moment. You are going into game 6 on the road with the team, with Dallas being the favorite in game 6 to close you out. You have to put all the chips at the middle of the table if you are OKC. You cannot let them win game 6 unless you want to if you want to save your season, you got to win game 6. No doubt about it. But one thing I want to talk about is for the OKC Thunder, this team is very young, one of the youngest teams. This is a learning experience, but don't sleep on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I believe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in game 6, he will have 30 to 35 points. He had 30 last night. As far as bench production for the OKC Thunder last night, it was not that great. They only had 20 points as far as coming from the bench. And as far as their rotation to the bench, they only had 4 guys last night. They usually have about 5 or 6. But just like I said, as you get deeper and deeper into the playoffs, your bench rotation will be reduced. So that's all I got for the OKC Thunder. For the Dallas Mavericks, what can I say? Luka Doncic, he had 30 points. Kyrie Irving had 12 points, but he was facilitating and getting everybody else into the game. I'm going to tell you one thing about it. Kyrie Irving had 4 assists, but everybody, all the other players on the team found their shot. PJ Washington, he had 10 points. Derrick Jones Jr., the man that I have been pulling for to step up in this series, had 19 points last night. Derek Levy II, he had 11 points last night. And also, one thing about it is the other 4 guys, Tim Hardaway Jr., he only had 5 points, but he only played 12 minutes. Still got to get his scoring production up, because you are going to need him for game 6. If I'm the Dallas Mavericks, I'm saying to myself, game 6, this series is not going back to Oklahoma. So close it out in 6 games, and you will be waiting the winner of the Denver Nuggets or the Minnesota Timberwolves. So, as far as both of these series, the Celtics are looking and awaiting the winner of the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks, and game 6 of the Mavericks and Thunder series. Those are the two games that await us. Now, as far as for the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves, I think that if I'm the Denver Nuggets, I'm going to go ahead and close out the series in game 6. If the Minnesota Timberwolves blow out Denver, they know that they got game 7 back home. But if it was me, I'm telling all of my players, if I'm the Denver Nuggets, I'm telling all my players, hey, let's get this over with and get to the Western Conference Finals. Let's get this over with. That's what I would be saying. And with that, those are my reactions to game 5, both game 5s of last night, and the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets series. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of all my shows, reaction videos, and other content. And one other thing, I always finish it off with this. You always know that the key is always on time.